There. Can you hear me now? Sorry. I was saying I'm happy to be here with all of you this morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Coffee with Tina, where we talk about the narcissist, the family court system, the reality of what it's like to go up against someone like this, a toxic individual, diagnosed or not. Yay, Stephanie finally made it to a coffee date. Oh, Stephanie is in my high conflict divorce coach certification program, which starts in January. She is in class number 1. And I limited that first class to only 25 people because this is our first run. I wanted to make it just an amazing family of people. You know, there is such a need in this world for people to do what I'm doing. And I'm I've never been so excited about a project in my life. And I've been an entrepreneur since I was 14. So I'm really excited to have Stephanie here this morning. And a lot of the coaches from my January program are going to be joining me in a training this morning with Dr. Ramani. So it's a busy day and I'm excited about all of that. I do want to start off by saying that I found out this week my dad has lung cancer. And for those of you who know my story, my dad is, he raised me as a single parent at the young age of 19. And it was just him and I against the world for a lot of years. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for single parent boy. To take on a 6-month-old baby was a huge endeavor. And so I don't feel like my brain is fully in tune right now. So I'm going to do my best. We're going to get through this. And I'm trying to stay really hopeful and really positive, and making plans to do a cross-country road trip to see my dad. He's in Tennessee and we're out here in California. And so we're going to try to, I'm still working out the details, but I did want to let everyone know I'm going to try to incorporate some type of family court awareness caravan across the US as I go out to see my dad. So if the stars align and I'm able to connect with people safely, we're going to do it via an RV. And I would love to raise awareness as we go across the country and connect with media, connect with people in different communities so that we can put this on the map and we can start talking about this, because these are great. What we're all doing on social media to raise awareness is great, but if I can incorporate a bigger awareness on this issue and use it, as I'm going across the country to see my dad, I would love to do that. Texas, Oklahoma, we have all kinds of people. Thank you everyone for your kind words. It's been a week. So, and Deanna's here also. We've got at least two people from my coaching program in January here this morning. So very exciting. Cape Cod. Oh my goodness. I would love to come to Cape Cod. I love seeing where everybody is logging in from. So thank you. Let's go ahead and dive in and get started. The first question. Oh, and I did want to say before we get started, next Saturday we'll be here again, same time, same place. But then I'm going to switch these up a little bit. We're going to move them to Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So next Saturday, still October 17th, join me here, but then we're going to switch to Fridays. So I'm excited about that. Indiana. Yes, and I was born in Illinois, so I have family in Illinois, in those parts of the world. And let's see. All right. So our first question is, why does he keep wanting to hurt me? He got everything he wanted. And it's a hard topic, or a hard thing for people to understand. And I feel like that's a big misconception in the family court realm in general, is, and that's why our attorneys will often push us, just agree to this, just give him that or her. Same with mediators. You go sit in mediation, and if you aren't fully prepared for mediation with a narcissist, a lot of times what I hear is that people are pushed to give and give and give by their own team, by the mediator, and what everyone, who doesn't understand narcissistic abuse, what they fail to recognize is this isn't a normal, healthy person to where there's give and take. You give them an inch and they're going to take 25 miles and never look back and then ask for more the next week. And so, a lot of people do make huge sacrifices in settlement negotiations, in a variety of areas. And then they find that even though they've done all of that, they're rock bottom, they've given up everything, the person doesn't stop. And it's a painful realization, but what this is all based on is their need for feed. They are broken, really, really broken humans. And, we are driven by love, by empathy, by, doing good, by, working, all of those things. Their feed supply comes from attention, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. And this person likely knows there's no chance of getting a positive feed from you. And so even if they have feed sources all over the place, in their minds, they like to keep connected to everybody and everything. And that's why, even with exes that they haven't dated in 10 years, they may ping them once a year through a message, a text message, just to let them know I'm still here. I'm not going away. And that can come in a variety of positives and negatives, but when they know they've beaten you down, first of all, that is the biggest feed source for them, because you're now at an uneven playing field. They know that they're up here, you're down here. In their mind, it's about winning, it's about control. And so they're constantly getting a feed from that. It's truly sick. And to be in that position, and that's where gray rock, yellow rock, boundaries, you have to, and I don't know the background in the situation, but kind of that's my general thoughts and feelings on it. If others have input, advice, this is very much a community. I don't have all the answers. And so feel free to share, if you have a more clinical perspective. This is a great, knowledgeable community. What happens when they lose in court? When the other party loses in court, they're not going to give up, unless they are really, well, here's an example of that. In 2014, the court revoked all contact. My ex-husband was not even allowed to call my daughters by phone. And then, we went through a few things. He showed, back up in 2018, 19, for child support purposes, but it was like he wanted the court to forget any of that had ever happened. And he was plugging that he wanted, to reestablish visits. And I'm like, wait a minute, were you not at the court? And it also can come, they're all different, they're all the same, but they're all very different as well. There's intricacies to each one. And so that's such a spectrum question. It can be all over the place. It's just really, it's why I tell people you need to profile the person that you're up against, almost like the FBI would profile a criminal. It's actually a form that I've been working on to share with my coaches in the new training program in January. How do you profile this person and know every single button, every single trigger, because whoever you're going up against, you need to know. You would never go into any type of war or battle without knowing the intricacies of your opponent. That's true in the sports world. Teams know who are the strong players, which plays they normally make. It's, so many of us go into this emotionally driven because these are our kids, and that's what, we were supposed to do, is fight for our kids. But when emotions take over, we don't always present well. And I know it's easier said than done, because I can sit here all day and teach you, what I know, what I've learned. But the reality is, if it were me facing court right now with my own ex-husband, I would have to work really hard to not only locate that strategy hat and put the emotions to the side, but keep it on. It's different. And so, I want people to know, just like years ago, I started my blog in 2011, and it reached the far corners of the earth very quickly as a result of Christy Brinkley promoting my work. And I'll tell you, back then, 2011, 2012, I'd be going into the courtroom and I'd have people all over the world cheering me on. And I used to say to my friends, I feel like a fraud because all these people have put me on a pedestal as this amazing warrior mom, and I can't even formulate a sentence. I'm so nervous, or PTSD has taken over my brain. And so I like to, don't beat yourself up. If that strategy is something you have to work at or work towards, or maybe you're not even close yet, but it's there, and that's the point that we need to work towards, is strategy. It's so important. I saw a question I wanted to just touch on. Why don't judges seem to care about COVID? And it's like with everything in the family court system, it depends on the judge. And I wrote a blog or did something on this topic recently where I said, you've got every end of the spectrum when it comes to that topic. You have judges, and this is where we see judges' personal biases come into play. You can't tell me they don't bring their own stuff to the bench. That's a bunch of BS. So you've got judges who maybe have a high-risk person in their family, so they're very educated on this topic and they take it very seriously. And then you have other judges who could literally watch the narcissist lick the door handles on his way into the courtroom, and they don't even flinch, and they think you're overreacting and all of these things. So it really comes down to the judge, is what I'm seeing. And again, I'm not qualified to give legal advice, but you're going to want to do your research on how your judge feels about this topic if it's a concern for you. I know it is for me. I have health conditions, and I'm taking this very, very seriously. But I know everybody has their different beliefs and opinions. My case was ended based on COVID. Yeah, somebody asked Cindy, can you tell us more about that? Because I'm curious to know. No, also, my guess is the courts are just being delayed. I know there's cases where I'm hearing, even with emergency situations, they're being booked out to December to January. It's a mess. And, have they improved things since all of this started in March, April? Yeah, but some people still don't have it all together. So I'm curious to hear what my judge is taking it seriously. That's fantastic. All right. Next question. um, the narcissist ignores court orders to inform me the whereabouts of my children. That's a topic I dealt with a lot in my own child custody battle, and I'm happy to share. Um, my ex-husband, it was probably 2009, 2010, he wouldn't tell me where the kids were. And I knew he was taking them over to one of his family members where they weren't supposed to be. I knew they were staying in hotels with friends all over the place. And it was one of the most trying times of my custody battle. That's where good documentation is critical. Being strategic with your communication, where, for me, it was sending him a very friendly, kumbaya, co-parenting communication about, hey, I just wanted to check in with you. The girls said that they stayed at someone named Ryan's house this weekend. According to our court order, or according to Judge Perry's orders, we're supposed to keep each other informed of where the kids will be at all times. Can you let me know where they're going to be next weekend during your parenting time? So, presentation about who we are as co-parents for me was a critical component to where I am today. And that I took the high road, I didn't engage, I stayed authentic to my truth. I would be a great co-parent if I had someone help me on the other side. And being strategic in my communication so I can document what's going on. In a friendly way, engage him in communication on the topic. Some people get so thrown when they get a scathing attack email back. In my opinion, those are the ones that I welcome, because I welcome opportunities for other people, especially in the court system, to see behind the mask. And so, that's where it's hard, but you have to work to not personalize it. When I receive an attacking email back, I'm thinking, thank you for putting that in writing and thank you for helping me to build my case. And so not taking it personally. And that's where managing our expectations really comes into play, because if I'm expecting the other party to act like a healthy, rational person, that's on me. My expectations are not in alignment with reality. So, so back to the question, I would be, if you're in a position where you can hire a private investigator, I didn't have an attorney, so I funneled any extra money that I had and money I didn't have into a PI. And that was, for me, a really good decision. They were able to help me at many junctures along the way to prove, because let's face it, family court is he said, she said. And the judge doesn't know either of you. So just because you're an honest, credible person, the judge doesn't know that. And for all the judge knows, you could be a really good pathological liar. And that's one of the issues in family court, is so much of it is based on credibility, or should be based on credibility. It's based on he said, she said, and who is, who is more credible in their presentation, all of those things. So hiring a PI can help to solidify your, accusation that they're, taking the kids to 3 different locations. The person has a revolving door of new feed sources, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever it is, and then proving that. How do you prove that? And so, I do offer a strategic documentation course on the One Mom's Battle website. You could just go to online courses. I also offer one on documentation, which may be helpful. I talk a little bit about strategic communication in that one, but those are really the 2 main topics, would be communicating with him strategically to try to get him engaged in conversation, PI, and your documentation. That would be my perspective, but if you have experience on this, again, please chime in on the comments, because I know so many of you are dealing with these exact topics. Next one, my ex plays the victim, lies, and manipulates. How do you expose the monster? So some of that kind of, well, first of all, the victim card, boy, do they have really strong victim cards. They love the hero card when you're first dating, when they're going around in public, when, they're trying to fool people, fool the courts, whatever. That hero card is being handed out left and right, and it's a very strong card. Then you've got the victim card, and we see the victim card being played a lot right now when it comes to COVID, weaving that topic back in when it comes to finances. So many of these people are self-employed, or they work under the table. They're just shady in general. And so it's like the court walked around handing out victim cards to everybody because so many people have been affected financially by COVID. So, the victim card is prevalent on so many topics when we're talking about the narcissist. But, when they're lying, when they're manipulating, how do you expose the monster? It kind of ties into that last question. Being very strategic in your communication, taking the high road, choosing your battles really wisely, trying to show the court that this person is not credible. I always like to use an example. It doesn't, it seems like the courts don't care. The judges say everyone lies, but it should matter. That should be a huge crux of all of this in family court. And so I used to always point out in documents the discrepancies, his credibility, where he was lying. And it wasn't until my ex got caught lying to the judge under oath that the judge cared. And it was like, wait a minute, he can lie all day in court paperwork. He can lie all the time to me about where he is with the kids, what he's doing. But when he lies to you, now we have a problem. Now I get sole legal custody because he lied to the judge. But it goes to show when egos are at play, and that's where I always say, whenever you can pit the judge against the narcissist and make it a personal issue, you usually take a couple of steps forward, because let's face it, the family court system is an area where we see a lot of really big egos. And so putting those two in competition against each other can work. So how do you expose the monster? It's showing patterns of behavior, more than just he said, she said, but it's documenting what are the patterns of behavior that affect your case. It's going to be different. It's easy for us to put all of this under one umbrella of narcissistic abuse, and again chalk it up to they're all the same, but they're not. My case is going to be night and day different from yours. Part of it, part of exposing the monster, learning your system, learning what matters to your judge. For example, I use the alcohol issue. My judge, I learned within a year, didn't like excessive drinking, didn't like, had an issue when people had arrests from alcohol. So, and my ex-husband is a horrible alcoholic. So you better believe that based on my truth that he was a danger to my kids because of his drinking, plus my knowledge of the judge, that I really emphasized those things. The courtroom right next door, the judge may not give alcoholism or addiction as much weight. And so that may not be the emphasis. And that's where it's, it takes really getting entrenched in your system. If you have attorneys in your area who offer free consultations, I'm a huge fan of taking advantage of those and using that time to gather all the data you can about opposing counsel, the judge, the mediators. Use that opportunity to get to know other people in the system and different perspectives, because you never know when somebody is going to drop something in casual conversation that could be helpful for your own case. So that's my general nutshell version. Next question. My 16-year-old, this is a topic that we see a lot. My 16-year-old wants to spend more time with dad. The two areas that I see my clients struggling the most are with young children who are nonverbal, infants, toddlers, special needs children, and then teenagers. Because teenagers can be easily manipulated, and the narcissist preys on that. And especially, let's say you have a scenario where the dad has not been involved in the kids' lives, but maybe they weren't completely abusive. The kids become like little sponges. They're dried up and they want, naturally, the attention and affection of both parents. And so when the narcissist swoops in and they know that's a way to hurt you is by weaponizing the kids, it's a recipe for disaster. It's a perfect storm, because you've got a child who really wants that connection, and then that they're being manipulated, that it's not authentic. But, I don't know the background of this case, but in general, a 16-year-old in the family court system usually has a voice. Not in every state, but in most states, the courts kind of put up their hands around that time. And obviously there are exceptions to that, and I hear them all the time. There's some states where the kids don't ever have a say. I know my authentic truth as a mom. And so if I were to put myself in that situation, my truth is that I have an authentic bond and connection with my child, my teenager, and that is their foundation. And so, yes, first of all, that's a difficult age to begin with. And so the odds are already stacked against you when you have a 16-year-old. They are looking to, spread their wings, and they're trying to become independent of you, and that's natural and normal. And now they're being manipulated. And so if I were to be in that position, I would stay focused on my truth, and I would keep the marathon mindset. that this isn't sustainable, that, as long as my child is safe, I have to allow them to spread their wings, have their own experiences with the other person. And my guess is that, and what I see through my clients who have been through this and now have kids that are beyond teenage years, is that they always have their own experience. They always come back and go, Mom, I get it. He did this or he did that, or she did this or that. And when you are able to step back and allow them to have those experiences, as long as it's safe, physically for them, they figure it out 9 times out of 10. And, even the teenagers that I see who completely walk away from their healthy parent, and I see it a lot, um, it's painful. As a mom, my heart goes out to anyone who is experiencing this. But I will tell you that I always, again, probably 99% of the time, these end successfully. Because when you stop fighting the narcissist, they don't have, when they feel like they've won, especially when it comes to your kids, we know they can't sustain a true selfless parenting relationship. They're not capable of an authentic bond and connection with our kids. So it usually plays itself out in a variety of ways, but they come back because that bond is their foundation and that bond is with you. So I haven't personally had experience with this, but I do see this through the lens of other people on a regular basis. So I hope that helps. Last question. What happens once you are officially divorced? Does the narcissist behavior get worse? And again, it's like with anything, they're all different. I remember, on that topic in general, I remember putting so much weight into that divorce date. And I see people do it all the time. People who will email me and say, it's been a year and a half and I'm still not divorced. And I have other people who are, it's 4 years and I'm still not divorced. I don't want to say this to be discouraging, but I will tell you from personal experience, that date of a final divorce doesn't change anything. It doesn't change. And I remember wanting those papers so bad. And when I finally got them, I kind of was like, it's just a piece of paper. I'm still in this battle. I'm still fighting to protect my kids, whether it's inside or outside of the courtroom, whether it's trying to empower my kids for their next visit. It doesn't finalize anything, until your kids are 18 and free of the system. There is going to be, it's a roller coaster, and there's lots of ups and downs. And whenever you have a couple moments of quiet or moments of peace, it's refilling our tank so that we can tackle the next battle. But, does their behavior get worse? I don't know that I would say just based on the divorce paperwork being final. I guess if you were dealing with a toxic person who also has abandonment issues, that could be a big trigger for them, that final, paperwork. So in that situation, it could escalate in those times. And I always say, whenever you have, the opportunity to empower your kids, to strengthen your kids, to prepare them for, when the narcissist escalates, do it. It's usually during the downtime, and it's never focused on the narcissist or the situation. It's very much generalized education for your kids. And during those times when we have a big court date or a divorce is finalized and we do feel that the narcissist could escalate, your personal safety should, your awareness of your situations, your, not keeping the same schedule if that's possible. Your safety kind of has to take priority and focus whenever you believe that your narcissist is escalated. We are coming up on, the fall. What we know to be true, I don't like blanket answers when it comes to the narcissist, but one common theme or thread that I see is they escalate during the holidays. And so right now is the time to start refilling your tank, putting on your oxygen mask, because they do tend to spiral around these types of significant events. Holidays, people warm and fuzzy, the commercials on TV, the shows on TV, all of that, people start to get weird. The narcissist starts to get weird because that makes them uncomfortable. And so yeah, and somebody just joined us from Toronto. Hello from Toronto. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. I already have next Saturday's scheduled, so you can go ahead and sign up to be notified. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. This will be available for replay, as they all are. And now we have cute little graphics where I'm putting all of the questions for each live on there in advance. And yeah, and then after next Saturday, we'll be going to Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So see you next Saturday. Take care, everyone. Bye.